Hello Scorpio, happy holidays. This is your forecast for December 2017 and we have a full stellium going on in your second house for money and income, and you're really going to look at not just money coming in but also money going out. What we have is now, of course, the Sun, we got Mercury, we got Saturn, and we will have the new moon coming into this area and joined by Venus, which will be entering in there December 1st. So that means that all your personal planets are focused right there on your money sector, right? Or also values. It's also a sense of self and self-value and whatnot. So I want to start with the new moon because it's a little special this year in this area. It's the time that we place our intentions, right? And so it should be about focusing on your money and income for the whole oncoming year, for the next 12 months. How do you want this sector to look like? How do you want to work it differently maybe? Could there be other income streams perhaps? Now, this is a very, very special new moon because it is conjuncting Saturn. Now, when it comes back to this area in 12 months from now, Saturn won't be there for another 28, 29 years. So Saturn is going to try to infuse this new moon with the way you think about money, the way you think about values or self-worth, in a way that it's going to lay a foundation for a 28, 29 year cycle for Saturn to return. Not only that, but it's going to get infused by Uranus as well. Uranus has to do with your 6th house, and the 6th house is the house of Virgo. It has to do with the way you organize things, your day-to-day routines. How many hours do you work? Do you work too much? Do you need more hours in your daily work to make more money? We've got to hook it into that 2nd house of money, right? Or do you want to balance it off? What is more worth? The money that you make or the time that you have off to do other things? Uranus is kind of shaking this up in a way, and it has been doing this for the last few years for you, where you're thinking like, ooh, maybe the workload is too much, right? Or maybe you're not having enough work, and then that has been shaking your foundation. But at this time, and let me give you the date though, it's December 18th, 26 degrees in Sagittarius, we will have this conjunction of the new moon and Saturn. And with Uranus, Uranus is not fully exact, but it's close enough to be an exact golden trine. And so Uranus shakes things up, it moves, whereas Saturn wants to lock things down, right? So Uranus has been shaking the area enough for Saturn to come in and say, okay, that's it. This is how I'm going to do it. This is what I want. All of this is empowering that new moon intent on the 18th. And so hopefully, you'll be conscious on this day to just a little time off, right? To do a little meditation or visualization, whatever it is. Some of you might just, light up some incense and do your sage and whatnot to get all the old away so that you are ready and prepared for the new. You will feel the power of how this is going to affect you already within a month, but then you will see throughout the whole oncoming year until that of December of next year how it really has worked for you. And now that foundation is laid, and you can take that with you for that whole Saturn cycle for the next nearly 3 decades. All right. So I'm kind of excited about it, and especially for you having it in this area, because I know you Scorpions, you're so true to yourselves, who you are, the values that you hold, and how you express it and interact with people around you. And I can see how people are looking up to you, listening to you, respecting you. Having had Saturn here in this area for a while, you've been communicating your highest truth, which is because it's been in this sign of Sagittarius. So you might have felt that the last 2.5 years you've changed somewhat. It's easier for you now to be more direct. That's what Sagittarius does, right? Because it's powered by Jupiter, which is all about truth. So you can see how this respect is growing and gaining in your personal life, in your sense of self-worth, but also how people value you. Again, the 2nd house value, so it's not just about money. But I would like to say, since we're on the topic of it, Saturn is moving signs, finally. That will be December 19th. It will move out of your second house where it has been working on your values and money and sense of truth and so forth. It's going to be moving into the third house. Third house is all about communication. It's going to be in the sign of Capricorn, which it rules, so it's powerful. You know, it's home in Capricorn. The third house is all about now communication and presentation, how you come out. You will come to see, Scorpio, just how much impact and influence the power of words will have for you over the next 2.5 years. This is what Saturn's opening up the door for. People will listen. I see that you could guide, you could judge in a very good way. Maybe you will be picked out to be on certain boards, committees, and so forth, because of your sense of self and how you've proven your value. So this should be interesting as we move into December 19th, and then of course taking it into 2018 and onwards. But that is the greatest shift you're going to see. And I always like to say that these major planets, they never leave an area and enter into something new without leaving a little present on the doorstep. So what would that be for you? Only you will know. But that is more like graduation time. You're graduating, and so here's this gift. So you'll have to see what that gift is going to be for you. Having all this said, Venus has been cruising through your first house here in November. You felt pretty good. You've been very radiant. You know, when Venus is in your own sign, it is in that first house of personality. All that beautiful Venusian energy comes out. People are like magnets to you, right? And you do have Jupiter there now, right? Which you will have for a whole year. So you're expanding. So I'm totally excited to see what that Jupiter is going to bring by the conclusion of its journey in this area. But Venus right now will be moving into your second house, joining the Sun, Mercury Retrograde, mind you, the new moon, and Saturn on December 1st. Mercury will retrograde from the 3rd to the 22nd, so get your gift shopping for the holidays done prior to, just for your own sake, and I'm just saying, because we know how gifts can turn out a little funky whenever bought under retrograde, and sometimes we just have to go and return them back, especially anything of technology or anything with moving parts and so forth. It's funky, so don't purchase any big, don't go buy a new car under retrograde, for example. Holding back on documents, contracts, and so forth with signatures is always a good thing to bear in mind. You'd want to wait till you get into the new year to do so. But anytime after the 22nd, you're out of the retrograde, but Mercury's still in its shadow. So I'd say if you can wait to January, you should be super safe. But, you know, sometimes the show has to go on. We've got to do what we can't do. We can't always wait that the world and expect the world to wait for us while we're waiting for retrograde to be over. So if you have to, well, so be it. That's just the name of the game. There's an exception to that, though. It's if you are needing to sign something that was already in the works prior to December 3rd, when it went retrograde, you could still be somewhat okay with it because it was already negotiated. If you're looking for a new job, starting a new job, if it's with an ex-employer, well, that should be good too. But it's really starting anything new, looking for a new job or signing any new contracts with a new person, new groups. I would wait. Mars, let's talk about Mars, is still in Libra. Yeah, Libra, when we start off the month. And so in November, you're weighing back and forth. Your time, your schedules, what you want, what you don't want, what is purposeful, what is useful, what isn't. And Mars just felt probably a little tired because it is your physical drive and energy. And when it's in the 12th house, it's in the regenerative house. It's recuperating, it's recharging, so that it can be ready to go when it crosses your ascendants, which will be December 9th. So you will feel that much more invigorated for rest of December after the 9th. Also, it will be in your first house, in the sign of Scorpio. And we always got to remember that Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio, so it's comfortable. You will feel your drive is good. The doors are opening. There's so much now that can take place for you with action. And you're all behind it. And think about this too, though, that Jupiter is there. So when Mars and Jupiter get to work together, things are expanding. There's this whole new 12-year cycle opening up for you with Jupiter right there in your sign. Mars is going to help open up those doors and the windows too, right? So great time for you, Scorpio. Super excited for you. Let's talk about the full moon, since we were speaking of the new moon. The full moon this month will be 11 degrees in Gemini. So for you, that will have to do with your 8th house will be illuminated, center stage. This is monies that you have with your partner might come up. How do you share your resources? Is it balanced? Is it fair? Is it not fair? This is a great time to communicate it because it's in the sign of Gemini, which really communicates. They're the talkers. This is the time things will come up and flesh out. And I feel that you could do really good in so many ways doing this. 11 degrees, which is, again, it's 150 degrees to your Jupiter, so I feel you should be empowered by expressing yourself. But top of the month, we got Venus and Neptune in a golden trine. Not Venus, I'm sorry, Jupiter. You know, when I sit with all these videos, with all these dates and all these planets, forgive me if I cross-wire them. Sometimes I know you can catch me, but it's Jupiter. Jupiter and Neptune are in a golden trine. On the 2nd, Jupiter in your first house, right? So there's expansion, there's joy, happy-go-lucky type of jovial energy. And then Neptune, your 5th house for children, self-expression, creativity. So you're going to see that this area between you, your children, it's going to grow in a very ideal way. On the 6th, we have communication with Saturn. This is Mars and Saturn, no, Mercury and Saturn. Talking about money, expenses, income, money going out, that kind of thing. And you're very clear. And I'm liking it because I feel it's the prelude to that financial discussion you'll have a little bit later on the 18th, because Mercury is also 6th on Mars. So your Mars drive, your goal is behind it, that it's important to now let's talk about where we're going in this financial area of your life. On the 10th, we have Mercury now bringing some unexpected news, I feel. It's good news. Always when Uranus is involved, we can expect the unexpected. But when that's good surprises, we're happy about it. Uranus has to do with your 6th house. It's your co-workers, it's your day-to-day work and routine. There might be some feedback coming to you of how you're doing. It may be you assisting or helping or aiding somebody of your co-workers. On the 12th, we feel that it's a day of communication. This is the Sun conjuncting the retrograde. And it is in that 2nd house of self-worth. You might bring a certain thing up to your partner's attention, or vice versa. Dealing with worth, it could be a money situation that you might be discussing and agreeing upon. The 15th, Mercury and Venus will also conjunct in the same area of money and self-worth. So we can see between the 12th and the 15th, we got a little trend going on here. It's like, what is really important? We're not just talking, you know, nickels and dimes money. We're talking about what is important. What do we feel? How do I feel? How do we relate in this? How are we sharing what we're feeling? So I feel that this is very important dates, and it's right here smack in the middle of the month where it's busy enough as is, right? But you will have time to be intimate in these discussions. On the 16th, we have the Sun and Uranus. So again, something at work. I feel you're going to get some feedback, a good pat on the shoulder for work great done. There might be office busyness. It could be holiday celebrations, office parties, and so forth between the 16th and the 20th. Because not only will we have the Sun and Uranus, but we also will have on the 20th Venus and Uranus, and it's all good. The energy is great. You're feeling that you're fitting into what is going on, and of course on the 20th your heart is really palpitating with joy, with a change that is upon you. Some of you might be traveling at this time for the holidays or receiving visitors at this time. I'd like to say, though, on the 25th, Venus is going to try to set you up. The 25th, we do have now Saturn into your new area in your 3rd house. So communication, presentations, or whatnot, or you have a new foundation set for family and family values. Venus is what you love and who you love, right? So there's a lot of expression of appreciation on Christmas Day. You will feel that it's a very sober, a good solid foundation. So Christmas Day, it will be beautiful. The presents, I feel everything, your presentation to how you've set things up for Christmas may be extremely lovely. Then we have on the 28th, Mars and Neptune. They are trine, and that is a beautiful golden aspect. Mars, your physical drive, your energy towards your vision and where you foresee yourself in the long run. It's your hopes and dreams on an ideal level. Now, this is how we're ending the year, but it's also the energy taking you into New Year's, where you're going to start off 2018 with a drive towards what it is you foresee as your goals. Mars at this time will be in your first house, so it's what you want. You're going to make room for yourself. It's so easy for you to give room to everybody else, Scorpio, right? But you're going to give room for yourself and say, you know what, 2018, this is how I want it. That's Mars. In an ideal way, bringing up that Neptunian creative energy. Maybe you're setting yourself up that you want more time with your children or your grandchildren. It could be with expressing yourself more artistically, which the 5th house is all about. It's your self-expression. It's wanting more time off for pleasure, not just hammering down with work. And we know that you have really worked so hard last 5 years, first with Saturn in your 1st house, you know, building that foundation of self, putting it out there. Then your financial dedication and obligation last 2.5 years, and sticking up for what your values are. So 5 years have gone by, and now it's time where you're kind of thinking, you know, I really want some time off. And not saying that you will work less, but you can work differently. So you can embed a little bit more creativity and creative time for yourself. So listen, this is what I have for you, Scorpio, and I am looking forward to 2018 to see what that will bring for you. Have a good one.